Who is here? Let me see. Good morning for most of you. Since I'm in Los Angeles, it's still morning. So if you're able to chat with me, I'd love to know who's here. I'd love to know if there are any issues that are happening. Hi, Sharon. Nice to have you here. I'd love to know how everyone's feeling and what's going on in particular this week, if there is anything. Good morning, Lynn. Lynn, are you still planting a lot or have you taken a break for winter? That's what I'd love to know. I think I'm taking a break. I realized I had a really great yield with my tomatoes and my zucchini, and I still have a lot of kale, so I'm of course going to keep that. And then I'm just letting everything else. I'm taking a break, and going to just take a break, let my earth have a break, and then maybe plan to get in the spring. Lots of energy gardening, and it's so nice to garden. It's so relaxing, kind of like a meditation. So yeah, I came on a little early. Now it's 9:30. So, is there anything in particular either of you have going on that you would like to focus on? I was thinking today of doing a lot of joint lubrication. Good morning, George. I was thinking of doing a lot of joint lubrication work today. And I was just reading about arthritis this morning and how many people are affected by arthritis. And so I just thought, today might be a really great day to focus on lubricating the joints and articulating the joints, which is much more of a slower pace. And it just seemed like it could be a really nice thing. I don't know, it just sounds good to me. Good morning, Michael. Nice to see you. So I want to tell you guys a story, and George, because you're here, a former fireman. That's why I want to tell you the story. We had, and I did mention it, I think, no, I haven't mentioned it yet because it happened on Saturday. So we have a fire extinguisher that's over 20 years old, and it was in my laundry room in the bottom corner of our laundry room, and we have one in the kitchen. And I wasn't home, and I was on the phone with my husband, and he heard a big bang, and then he saw the smoke coming out of the laundry room. And I had to call about 2 months ago about a leak, a gas leak in the laundry room. So maybe he correlated that. And he tried to come in the hallway, and all of this, what appeared to be smoke, was coming out of the hallway. So he called the fire department, first time they've ever been here. And there were 10 people here, and they're looking everywhere for what it is. And what it turned out to be is that this 20-year-old fire extinguisher had popped, and all of that powder stuff, that fire retardant, was what the smoke that my husband was seeing. And I don't know if it was still like that when they were here. Anyway, oh my gosh, it's all over the place, or it was. But how weird is that? And fire people, women and men, told my husband they've not really ever seen that. And my husband had a fire extinguisher in his hand, so some people questioned him and probably thought that he didn't realize he had, I guess, deployed it. I don't know if that's the right terminology. But anyway, if you have any fire extinguishers, I was looking at information. They can't really commit to the lifespan of them, but they were saying 5, 7, and I even saw 12 years. They really won't commit to the validity. There's a pressure gauge on some of them to look at. So I look at this as an opportunity for those of you that have fire extinguishers to look at the dates. So see, George, this is like I'm becoming a whatever you want to call it, like a public service announcement for fire extinguishers. So look at your fire extinguishers, look at the pressure gauge. There's red and green, and it should be in the green zone to show that it still works. So look through your house at your old fire extinguishers, get rid of them. They told my husband to throw them away, which in the trash, I think they told him. Anyway, that's one of the lessons for today. How that relates to yoga, I'll tell you. This is how it relates to yoga. So when he told me this information, I'm on the phone with him. He goes, "Oh my God, I just heard a bang. There's smoke coming from the laundry room. I got to call the fire department." That was the call. And I'm going 70 miles an hour on the freeway. I have about 35 minutes to get home. And I'm thinking about my husband at home. Oh my God, what if there's a fire? So I'm, hey Siri, call blah blah. And I never really used that, but I was on and I was going like 70 miles an hour where there were a lot of cars. So the traffic was pretty extensive and close to where we were going to have to slow down. Meaning, there was cars everywhere, but we were still able to go that fast. So there's a precariousness about being in a high speed when there's these cars. Anyway, and I'm trying to get people from my neighborhood to come over here to help him. And then when I stopped and I got someone to help him, I said to myself, wow, this is a lot of nervous system stimulation. This is the potential. I said, things could be happening at your house. And I stayed present moment. I used yoga. And what I did was I decided to drop into my body. So I decided that I was going to feel my seat on the chair, feel my feet on the gas, and my hands on the steering wheel. And I used my yoga to tell myself, right now, you're on the freeway. You have 35 minutes to get home. Whatever is happening. And it's very dangerous for you to be anywhere but here focusing on driving this car right now. And I started taking deep breaths down to my belly. I started stimulating not the fight flight zone. And anyway, so I was practicing yoga while driving. So I know that sounds really crazy. I got home to a complete mess and everything was okay, but it was just that in that present moment, I had to really tap into not being anywhere but that moment. Because for me, that moment was in my car driving, and it wasn't at my house worried about what's happening at my house. So um, I just had to do que sera, sera, whatever will be, because I really couldn't do anything at that moment. And I think that that's what is important. The lesson is that there's a lot going on around us, and especially these next few weeks, there's a lot. I've received 2 calls in the last 2 days to say that I've had fraudulent accounts, and what I've been told to do, and this is what you guys should do as well. If someone calls, because one was and they say we've detected suspicion, this is what you say to them: Can I have your number to call you back? So if it really were Apple or whatever, they're going to send you an email probably. And right away, these people will hang up on you. So that's another lesson for today. There's just a lot of craziness going on. Let's try to stay present moment. So today, let's be in our joints. Let's be in our joints. Let's lubricate our joints. Let's find alignment in our joints, and let's strengthen the muscles that hold us in this aligned place so we can actually do everything. The pressures of life that come at us from a stress response, in terms of what's going on in our world today, and then also from the wear and tear and stressors that happen in our bodies as we age. Okay. So that wasn't even planned. That's just what happened. Um, Hi, Dina. I see that you're here. Nancy. Yes, so please, Nancy, go check that out because it wouldn't be a good thing for that to happen for you. Good morning, Carolyn. I don't know if you were here to hear my story about my fire extinguisher, but because I saw George, I thought I would tell you guys. All right. So another thing I heard yesterday was about sound. So I don't know if you guys could hear me really great there. I moved my microphone a little closer to me so that hopefully you'll be able to hear me. And I've been trying not to play my music as loud. So for today, I'd like you to have a strap because I'd really like us to stretch our ankle joint and really free up that articulation in the ankle, which is very supportive for the neighbors. So in this case, the knees is the neighbor joint to the ankles. And I know that a few of you here have knee issues. So we're going to really soften up and loosen up that ankle joint today so that hopefully we then free up the knee joint, which will translate up to the next neighbor, which is the hips, and even below the ankle, which is the foot. And so really looking at us as a 3D connected object. And when you start to release, what's the word I'm looking for? Starts with C. When there's a lot of congestion. Can you believe this is in my early 50s? What's going to happen? I mean, I just think I'm losing it. But to remove the congestion in our body. So if you could get a big something for your legs, it could be a chair, it could be the wall, it could be many pillows from your sofa or from your bed. A strap, please. If you have a regular yoga strap, great. And if you don't, can you get a belt from your closet, a strap from your robe?
And then also, can you get a block? And if you don't have a block, something a little more solid, something a little more substantial, or it could be a towel that you fold up right now into a square so that it's pretty strong to take the weight of your body. Okay. So I just want to see a couple more. I know there's been some comments. I'm a little far away from my computer, so I just want to see. John, hi. Um, oh, thank you. You're so I don't know if this is John or or is it somebody else? Because sometimes there's different emails. Lauren, hello. And I love that you say hello, beautiful people, because that's so great. So Lauren, that's really sweet that you said that. Eleanor and Stan, oh, you're in Mariposa. I hope it's beautiful there. And I was listening to Dr. Mark Hyman today. Um, your name is Debbie. Okay, Debbie, and I'm Debbie too. Although I'm spelling it Debi, because when I went to beauty school when I was 16, there were six of us. I'm like, okay, I have to be different somehow. So anyway, what I was gonna say is that what was I gonna say? Lauren, Stan, oh, Dr. Hyman. you, you guys are watching the path of the degeneration of the cognitive decline of Debbie. We saw that happening in 2020. Now look at her, she's 75. Just kidding. I'm going to eat my way out of it. Um, so Dr. Mark Hyman, I went to watch a taping of his show Food is Medicine on Saturday. And today he had a podcast and it talks about cold weather. So Stan and Eleanor, I'm not sure in Mariposa if it's cold. It talked about the benefits of being cold for immune system development. So that's where that came from. All right. So let's find ourselves on the floor, elevating our legs somehow. And Debbie, you're new to this. So sometimes when you're new to the practice of yoga, especially I begin in such a slow place, sometimes it's hard to go from 100 miles an hour in the mind to, oh my gosh, I'm laying here. So practice makes perfect. We've all heard that. And it really is true. When I get new students to class, in the beginning, it's a little challenging to slow down the mind. And that's really the goal of yoga, is to find harmony and slowness in the mind. So come into a comfortable position. So you put your body in a really comfortable position. Take the weight out of the joints. Today we're going to focus on joint lubrication and then strengthening ourselves in an alignment position. So find comfort here so that you can relax the mind. So when the body starts off in a relaxed position, this will then let the mind relax. So find comfort first in the physical body. Prop up yourself, whatever you need. Blankets under your head, pillows under your head, pillows underneath your legs. Let's let the somatic relax, which will then translate to the psyche. So that somatic psyche. And then we're going to use our awareness and our breath to get the psychosomatic harmonization also. Having this beautiful reciprocal relaxation in the mind and in the body. This is where we allow the healing process, the wellness, the well being aspect of us. And when do we ever in our lives, if we're not coming to a yoga class, take this time to do this? Maybe some of us are wise and we spend time outside in nature, in our garden, in walks or hikes. And then this is the opportunity to practice relaxation, to allow the body to soften, all the support muscles and structures to relax. Take away the compressive force from above, from gravity. And then another little added thing here is that we know that sleep is when we do the majority of our regeneration, detoxification. They believe it's when we process our daily cortisol output. So when we are stimulated by stress, the hormone that's released in our body is called cortisol, the main stress hormone, along with epinephrine, norepinephrine.
And this is the nighttime sleep is when the body actually processes, metabolizes, and digests the daily output of cortisol. So we need to sleep. So this is actually also a practice of sleep. So that for those of you that have trouble sleeping, if we take this time out during the day to stop, to slow down, it's almost letting our body know that it's okay to stop. So we're taking the time out to slow down our vehicle, in this case, our body. So really closing the eyes, letting your awareness gather and be here where you are. So check to see if your mind is in the past right now. Sometimes when it's pretty far away in the past, you need a little while to bring it to this present moment. And then notice if your mind maybe has gone to the future, and bring it back here to reality, the only real thing, which is this present moment. And let's fully immerse ourselves in this present moment. Re-educating the senses on paying attention to what's around them right now, and taking away any of the stimulators of the nervous system for fight or flight, which typically come from the past or from the future. So leaving all of that away and behind. Bringing your awareness here, begin to notice your pelvic area. So the tushy, the sacrum, which is the base of the spine. And feel the part of you that's connected to the floor. Feel the weight of that part of your body pressing into the floor. If you have your legs elevated up a wall or a chair, or up a few pillows, the higher your legs are elevated, the more heavy you'll feel the pressure of the pelvis and the tailbone in the floor and the sacrum. The heavier the legs are, the more deep you will root your hip bones, your leg bones in the hip joint, taking pressure out of your hips. And the higher your legs are, the more supportive that is for your heart, as you allow the fluids to come back to the heart with gravity as opposed to against. Take your hands out to the side, the palms are up, and then bring your awareness to the left arm. Feel that left arm, the heaviness of the left arm in the floor. The palm is open. Don't try to stretch it open though. If your fingers have began to curl in as they do, as the nervous system relaxes, that's an indicator that the nervous system is allowing the focus of the awareness of the body to go to the center of the body, where we heal, where we digest, where the endocrine system is located. So the hormone balancing, the digestive, absorption, and assimilation aspects of the body. Feel the back of the left arm, the elbow, the wrist area, back of the hand. And then that left elbow, as you allow that left elbow to relax deep in its socket. So taking away the pressure of the left shoulder. And if you have an issue in this left shoulder, bring your awareness to your left shoulder. Visualize that the ball of the top of the arm bone has slid back and deep in that joint, which is a place of relaxation and a place where it will not be pinching the nerves, and a place where it will create space for the flow of the nerves and the vessels, the blood vessels and the lymphatic vessels. Bring your awareness over to your right hand, to the back of the hand. Feel the weight of the back of the hand on the floor. And then bring your awareness to your right palm and notice what you notice in your right palm. Be in the very center of the palm with your awareness. See if you could feel the center of your right palm. And then notice your fingers. Are they curling in? Don't move them, just notice them, almost as if you could see them. Notice the pinky finger, the ring finger, the middle finger, the pointer finger, and the thumb. And then bring your awareness to the wrist. Spacious, unobstructed, not congested. Bring your awareness to the back of the lower right arm. Feel the weight of your right arm on the floor. And then the right elbow. Notice what you notice. Can you feel the blood going through the veins, the lymph in the vessels, the nerves stimulating from one to the other? Bring your awareness up to the upper right arm bone, to the top of that bone in the shoulder. As that right shoulder, let it soften. Can you release even more? Notice if there was a holding. Notice if there was that flexion position. Soften, let it go. Let that right upper arm bone relax deeper into that hip, into that shoulder joint. And let it relax. Let it unobstruct the nervous system pathway that goes over that shoulder joint. Bring your awareness to your neck, to the front of the neck, to the right side of the neck, to the left side of the neck, and then to the back of the neck. And let's lengthen the back of the neck by slightly, very small movement, slightly begin to slide the chin a little closer to the chest a bit. Lengthening the back of the neck, and then bring your awareness to the back of the head. You'll feel the back of the head. Pressure of the head as you let go of your head. The weight of your head, it's about 10 pounds. So feel what it feels like for 10 pounds to be pressing towards the blanket, the pillow, the floor, wherever it's resting. Feel the weight of your head as you no longer hold it on top of your body. Bring your awareness to your eyes. Let your eyes soften. See if you could feel relaxation as you let go of the eyeballs. You let go of all the muscles of the eyes that work so hard throughout the day to keep you safe. Bring your awareness to your facial muscles on either side of your nose, the cheeks. Allow them to soften towards the ears. See if you could feel a relaxation in your face. Bring your awareness to your mouth. Let your tongue in the bottom of your mouth, lower jaw. Let the lips they touch, let them soften. Let your teeth separate. Allow the jaw bones to rest in the jaw joint. Bring your awareness inside your mouth. Notice if you feel any moisture in your mouth. You could even move your tongue around. Taking your tongue to the upper palate, the roof of the mouth. Move it around, see if it feels sticky and dry. Do you feel a moisture? When you're able to create this relaxation in the body will secrete digestive fluids in the mouth. As it secretes fluids all the way down the rest of the mucous membrane tube down to the stomach, intestines, as the operations of digestion are stimulated when you allow yourself to slow down, to stop. Bring your awareness to your left palm, the left finger, the right palm, the right fingers. Bring your awareness to both palms and both fingers at the same time. You can. Notice how heavy your body feels. Take a few big breaths down to your belly. So bring your awareness with the breath, follow it in down below the ribs to the soft belly. And then bring this to your fingers. Begin to move the fingertips. Be very curious at this as well. Feel your pointer finger, your ring finger, thumbs. Feel them bend. Bring your awareness to your toes as you bend your toes. Your toes, this is where often we hear some sounds. I call it the yoga orchestra when we're in class together. Start to articulate your ankle joint, moving it around, pointing, flexing, rolling. Same thing with the hands, bending the wrist, rolling the wrist, slowly bringing movement into your body. And then eventually starting to bend the knees, bringing the knees in. Draw the knees and bring yourself into flexion. The reason why this position can feel so good, this flexion position, is because it is the position of protection of the body. So when the deep hip flexors and the deep flexor muscles of the body, this is the protection mode of the nervous system, these deep flexors, to put you in this protective ball in case there was something around you that was going to get you. So let's roll onto our right side. I don't know about you guys, I feel super relaxed. So I'm wondering if you felt the heaviness. I try to do a lot of somatic awareness. And because I was in the hands so much, there's a lot of neurons dedicated to the hands. So it can be bringing you from the back of the brain, which is where we live, that subconscious. I brought you to the conscious brain, the sensory cortex, to really pay attention to your hands and to your joints. And when you do that, you actually bring yourself out of that back brain into that top center brain. And it can be very relaxing for the body because the body lets go of the defenses. All right, let's open up the hand. Don't lift your head. Push away softly or strongly. Try to let it be the shoulder that stays on top so that you're using the muscles of that side of your body to lift yourself up. And then let's get our self ready to lubricate the joints that I was mentioning. That just sounds so great to me. Joint lubrication, doesn't it? So you need a strap, you need a block. Let's bring yourself, yeah, let's just come all the way down onto the floor. So come all the way down. I was just thinking. Sorry, if you have osteoporosis, we need to turn to the side. I'll try to direct that a little better next time. All right, take your legs long, take them a little bit wider than your body. Take your arms overhead and face your fingertips away from you, your thumbs down to the floor, palms are facing each other. And then point both feet, point the toes, and stretch your hands above you as you feel this deep stretch in your body. So let's release congestion right away from the entire body. And then leave your arms over there, up above. Palms are up towards the ground. Ooh, there's a book, right, called Falling Upwards. Let's
leave the palms up towards the sky. The backs of the hands are on the floor. Let your arms relax. So try to stretch whatever you can. For some of you, you may not be able to touch the floor. So see what happens if you take your arms a little wider if you're able to touch the floor. So stretching the upper body. Bring the feet so that they're hip distance. So if you pick the foot up, if you lift the legs like this, it'll actually come back to a hip, because this is like walking. So this actually puts you into what is a hip joint alignment position for your body. So do a couple of those marches. And some of you may need to bend your knees because to do this is a lot of hip joint strain. And this is an indicator for you what kind of hip joint strength you have. And I know this well because this is something I did not have after I had surgeries in my hips. All right. Now I want you to just take your hands behind your head for just a second to look up to see where your feet are. Put your toes up towards the sky. That's your hip distance. So that's where I want you to see that that's hip distance. Okay. All right. Let's take the hands back up, rest them on the floor. Let's inhale to point your feet. Let it be really strong. You're not just flopping them here. Go strong so you feel the tops of your feet stretch, and you may even feel that translate all the way up to your belly area as you lengthen the top of your psoas. Then, as you exhale, strongly slide the heels on the floor, draw the toes towards you, go slow, especially if you're someone prone to cramping. Inhale to point, exhale to flex. Inhale to point, exhale to flex. And then come to a static hold. Let's go a little wider with the toes. Let's inhale. Try to let the pinky toes touch the floor. So you're taking your feet all the way wide. The pinky toe edges are going towards the floor. This is like a duck-footed presentation. This is a hip joint move, external rotation. And then can you bring the toes all the way, the big toes towards each other, and then try to push the big toes towards the floor. And then inhale to open the feet all the way out. So your feet are going all the way out. And then you're going to inhale, feet go all the way in. So keep going. I just want to turn to show you what I'm talking about. Feet go all the way out. And then the feet go all the way in. Out and in. That's a hip joint. And see if the legs are straight. If you feel that all the way up at the top of the legs with that psoas that's attached onto the inner thigh. So we're getting a little bit of hip joint articulation here. We did a little bit of foot joints, ankle joint. And then let's bring your hands out to the side. Let's do a little bit of knee joint. And this is also glute as well. So you're going to inhale, slide your heel on the floor. Exhale, slide your heel away. Inhale, slide your heel in, bend the knee joint. Exhale, heel away. So getting that proper functionality of the joints of the hip, of the knee, of the ankle, of the feet, using the posterior chain. Press your heel into the floor. So feel a really strong activation of that back of your glute area. And then the next one that comes in, leave it there. The next one that comes in, leave that there. Keep your feet a little bit wider than your body, not quite as off the mat yet. Let your arms be wide. Let's do a little bit of side to side, but do not let the soles of the feet come off the floor. So let your knees go side to side without the soles coming away. So keep your feet on the floor and only go whatever range of motion your body will allow you to do. More hip joint, getting into that lateral chain. So we don't need to go big and crazy here because we are doing joint work here. You're stretching the joints, the muscles that are on the joints, and you're going to feel that translate up into the belly area because the psoas is attached onto the upper leg bone. So when the upper leg bone moves, it's translating up to that joint that is attached to your lumbar spine and attached to another muscle that's attached to the pelvis. Bring yourself back to center. Let's take the feet really wide. So I guess that's what I'd like to say is that when we slow down, we get muscles maybe that we don't always think of or affect, because the bigger muscle usually is taking over. And so this is a nice way for us to be slow, to get into some of those support muscles that are on the joints. So your feet are all the way off the mat. Bring your arms into what's called a scarecrow arm. So take your arms alongside your body. For those of you with shoulder issues, don't let your shoulders come high arm bone where it is without elevating the upper arm bone, which is going to elevate the shoulder. Arms are out to the sides. Just bend the elbow joint. So keep your awareness where your elbows are. You'll feel this in your shoulder back as well, because everything is connected. Come into your scarecrow position. Eyes could be closed if you'd like. And then you're going to slowly begin to let the knees go over to one side. Go slow. Keep going. Let it keep going. So now the soles of the feet do start to roll off the floor and move away from the floor. And then exhale, push your belly button to your spine as you come back up, and slowly inhale, let your knees go over in the other direction. When you go slow, you're going to feel that quad muscle stretch and other hip muscles that cross over that hip joint. You let yourself go side to side and keep your rib cage on the floor. So try not to let the tushy cheek pop up off the floor. Try not to let a lot of rotation come into the body. So try not to let the hips pop up and look over to the other side. Try to keep this mostly isolated from the hip joint down towards the feet. And let's lubricate the feet, the ankle, the knees, the hip. And it's beginning to go into the low back, which also means it's at the sacrum. And the sacrum, there's a synovial aspect to the sacrum. And there's also speculation that as we get over the age of 50, some people's SI joints start to fuse, and that we do not have any more mobility in the SI joint. But I've not found a definitive answer as to whether it is or not. And even when I've asked orthopedic surgeons, nobody has ever said I don't think they know, basically. So the next time your legs come over to the left, let them stay there. So that's the joint that's back here that we were resting on, that is at the base of the spine. And so that's why you want to be really slow and careful here. And especially those of you with low back issues, you want to go really slow when you do this. Now we're stretching the right side of the body. It's one of my favorite stretches. I do this probably in almost every class I teach. You're going to lengthen your right body. So you push the right foot into the floor, and then pushing the right foot into the floor, push the right hip up towards the ceiling, flex the right wrist and move the right wrist away from you, as if someone gently holds on to your hand and wrist and gently guides it away from your body a little bit to create a stretch underneath that arm, or maybe underneath the rib cage area by the top of the pelvis. Wherever you feel it is probably where you need it. Flex your wrist. You may even feel this here in this forearm area, clearing up the congestion of the nerves that go to the fingers from your brain, the motor neurons. And then look over to your left here. So look towards your left to deepen the stretch. And then take one more breath. Exhale your belly button to your spine. Let's bring yourself back up to center, and slowly, slowly, let's allow the knees to find their way over to the right. And then activate that left side the way you did the right side. Push the left foot into the floor. Push the left hip up towards the ceiling. Flex the wrist. So I consider myself to have a very strong physical asana practice, because I have practiced yoga for so many years, and I teach so often, and I fully show up when I do this. I feel such a strong stretch in my left side when I do this, because I create that tension and that stretch. So even though this may seem simplistic, you create what's appropriate for your body. I feel this in my fingers on my left hand, because I'm flexing my wrist joint so strongly and lengthening my left heel of my hand away from me. And then if I push that front left hip joint up towards the sky, I feel a deepening in the front hip joint. If I push the chest up towards the sky, well, then that actually goes a little bit towards the back body where I don't want it. But you can you find the stretches in your body. You don't just come here and hang out in your joints. I want you to be active in your joints by lengthening your joints, creating space in your joints. Take one more breath and then bring yourself back to center. Yoga is unlike many other physical movement practices in that it creates space and frees up range of motion in your joints, which is huge, huge. All right, let's grab our strap and let's start to do some of that ankle joint. First, so take the strap, put the strap on your belly, draw your left knee into your chest, and then having an elevation of a blanket here is important. So for those of you that are tight, you have tight ankles, tight hamstrings, tight calves, tight hips, the more support you put under your head, the better off you'll be here. So fold your blanket up or put extra pillows under your head because it'll take away the tightness from the upper spine and it'll let you fully focus on your lower extremities. Hold on behind your leg, behind this hamstring, and let's do a little bit here to warm up that hamstring muscle, bending that knee joint. Feel that work here. And then bring yourself into a semi-straight leg, still bent. Maybe you need to have your leg a little closer to you, a little deeper bend. Just do what's appropriate for you. And then let's warm up that foot a little bit more. Stretch the foot's really strong here. So really strongly stretch the foot and look at your ankle. Look at the ligaments. Look at all the tissues that are in the foot. I love to look at my foot in adoration because it's amazing that it holds us up and it does all of this. So you're going to point your foot, then you're going to slowly flex. Pull toes towards you, the center of the heel. So if you think about the very center of your heel moving up towards the sky, you're going to feel a stronger stretch in your calf. You create the tension here. Inhale and exhale fully, not just a little bit, but a lot of it, and as much of a bit as you need for you. Now you're going to imagine that on your big toe is a Sharpie marker on your ceiling. And I want you to make the biggest, at least dinner plate size circle you can on the ceiling as you articulate your ankle joint. For those of you that have balance issues, for those of you that have knee issues, when you free up the congestion here in this ankle joint, it can help with and on the other direction, slow. Looking at your ankle, feeling a stretch. This also makes you a little more receptive to tripping and gives more play in that ankle joint so that you can minimize the potential for stress fractures. All right, let's take the strap or belt or whatever. Don't lasso it though. Bend your hip, bend your knee, and put the strap. Get as close to your toes as possible. And then actually, I want you to touch your big toe. So take your fingers and touch your big toe because you need to be able to cut your toenails and you need to be able to put your socks on, your pants on, your undergarments on. So we need to keep the knee and the hip moving and mobile. And it may sound silly, but that's what happens. People lose their range of motion in these areas and they can't care for themselves anymore. And that's what makes people have to go into a home, is when they lose their ability to do what are called ADL, activities of daily living. And right now you may think that you're really strong and limber, but really let's keep it going. All right, let's take the strap now. You're gonna hold on to one, the right hand holds the strap in the left hand. And then I want you to try to articulate your ankle joint with the strap. So the strap is on the foot and you're pulling on the strap that's in the right hand and you're pulling on the strap that's in the left hand. Pull the strap so that the foot bends. And then look at your kneecap. When your kneecap stays isolated, then you're moving everything below the knee and the hip. If your knee starts going side to side, you're actually in your hip joint. So get out of your hip, come down to your ankle. Come down to your ankle even though it's up. So again, we're doing a lot of upside down stuff today. Go back and forth, side to side. Then I want you to take your strap or your belt and go all the way up and down your foot. And if you pull really strong, you'll feel some heat trying to press back into the system, whatever's hanging out of the capillary beds of the tissues. A lot of soft tissues in the foot. All right, let's take the leg. Let's slide the hands down the strap pretty closer to your body so your elbows bend. Your elbows come alongside your body. Your shoulder blades go on the mat. And then if you can, let's see what happens if you try to stretch that right leg out. This will put the pelvis in a little bit more of a neutral position. And then you're going to stretch the back of that left leg. So try not to let the left waist get short here. Can you push the top of the pelvis away from you and draw the left leg towards the wall behind you? Feel that stretch behind your hamstring. If the knee is bent, whatever. If the knee is bent, then you're in the belly of the muscle. And if the knee is straight, you're on the ends of the muscle, the tendinous part where they attach the bones. And you can actually do a little bone stimulating. This is one of the poses in the osteoporosis work. So if that's your goal to strengthen the pelvis, keep your knee straight as you draw that leg backwards. Take one more breath and then bring yourself up. Let's take the strap now in the right hand. So the opposite hand, because we've got the left leg up. Take the strap in the right hand and then hold on to it. Draw your arm closer to you. Now we're going to stretch the outside of the left leg. And if you have a hip replacement on this side, and if it's a posterior, so that the scar is on the side of your leg, you have to be really careful and maybe even not do this. But for anyone else, you're going to draw your leg up close to your body, a slight internal rotation, a slight duck, pigeon toe. So the big toe moves towards the right, the heel moves towards the left. And the kneecap would be pointing towards the right. That's internal rotation. Slight. And then you're going to guide the leg over to the right, feeling an intensity on the side of your leg. See what feels appropriate for you. For those of you or anyone that wants to, you can actually bring your leg. I'm going to bend my knee because I have a hip replacement on this side. You could bring your knee over. You don't have to bend the right leg. You could bring your knee over, feeling that stretch on the outside of the left hip. So you could either be all the way over, try to keep your left shoulder on the floor, shoulder blade if you can, or you could be here with the leg moving over to the right. It probably doesn't feel good. Stretching the iliotibial band, which connects the hip and the knee joint, and then bring yourself back to center. Let's take our hands. Keep your leg here if you can. So I want to strengthen the leg muscles, holding the leg up, the hip flexors. For some reason, I've had a lot of complaints or comments about iliotibial bands, people's side knees. And I noticed when I was teaching in person or when I'm on Zoom, the weakness that comes into the side of the legs that does not support the knee joint anymore. So it's really important that you keep the side of your body strong. Let's bring the strap now up to the widest part of your foot, not on the toes though, the widest part of your foot. We're going to stretch the calf. So this is kind of uncomfortable, but necessary for those of you, especially those of you that get cramps. So let's go slow. You're going to pull the strap towards you, pull the toes towards you, slight bend in the knee. The kneecap is winking at you, facing your face. Inhale. As you exhale, try to straighten that leg, center heel up towards the sky. Inhale to bend, exhale to straighten. So the more you pull the strap towards you, the more you straighten the knee, the more intense this is. Be in a place of intensity that feels appropriate. Last one. You're going to straighten that knee, pull the foot towards you, straighten that knee, and then go ahead and relax. Let's take the strap on your belly. Let's take the legs, bring the legs straight, close your eyes, bring your awareness down to your left foot. Feel your foot. Notice if you feel any tingling or any sensations in that foot. Notice the sole of the foot. Can you feel the sole of your foot? And then bring your awareness to your left ankle. Do you feel anything in the left ankle, the left calf, left knee? And then I want you to bring your awareness over to your right foot, your right calf, your right knee, your right ankle, and make a comparison between one and the other to see if there's anything detectable. And quite often we've created a freedom in that left leg, removing congestion, and you can feel sensations, tingling. It may feel bigger, it may feel heavier. and you may feel more of the whole outline of your left leg and foot compared to the right. So that's usually what maybe most of you are feeling or noticing. So let's actually keep the strap on your belly. Let's warm up this right leg. Bring the right knee in, keeping that left leg bent. The left knee joint is bent. Feel the pressure of the leg behind your hands. When we leave, I believe it's our 40s in yogic philosophy, or maybe 50s, early 50s. When we come to this stage of our lives, the asana portion of the yoga practice becomes more about preservation of our form and our body. So, this slow movement, let's bring your leg into a straight position. And this focus on the parts of our body where pain, like joints, is where a lot of pain comes from. So, nice slow practice today to really free up and take really good care of our joints. Let's point the foot strongly so you feel that stretch. For me, this stretch feels delicious. I don't know if that's the case for you guys, but this feels so delicious on the front of my foot. And it feels pretty strong because I'm really making it be very strong. And then you're going to come into a flexed position. And then inhale back and forth. When you stretch this way, you should feel it on the top and the front of your foot. And when you come into that flexed position, you should feel it in the calf. So I want to say something here. If you look at your foot when you're doing this, you may notice that second toe. For some of you, it may bulge out a little bit more than others. I was working with a woman privately that had a hammer toe, that second toe, and she was working with a physical therapist. And he told her that her calf and the Achilles part of her calf was causing the tightness of her calf was causing this hammer toe. And it's pretty painful for her. And she had to do a lot of work with him to overcome this. So really keeping all of this free is keeping us away from future issues. That's what that's what it is. That's what I'd like to say. Okay. Now imagine that there's a black Sharpie marker on the tip of your toe, and you're going to make a dinner-sized plate circle on the ceiling. So go slow. This is where I notice a lot of people have a hard time slowing down. If you go slow, it's harder. If you go slow, it's more advanced. And then the opposite direction. Stretching and articulating that ankle joint. Really free up that ankle. This is partly why when we just sensed our left side, we felt so much tingling and sensation compared to the right. Freeing up the area that all of that communication. Then go ahead and bend your knee. Let's take the strap. Let's remember, you're not lassoing it. I want you to touch your right toes. Touch your right toes first. Even if you need to lift your head up off the floor, do that. And then take the strap, put the strap on the arch of your foot. And then you're going to have your arms be straight. Right hand holds the right piece, left hand holds the left piece. And you're going to move back and forth with that ankle joint to do a little stretch. This is stretching now the lower lateral side, or the side lateral of this leg. And then make sure the kneecap doesn't move and it's winking at you. Winking kneecaps. I don't know which teacher taught me that, but somebody. I think it was my darling Larry, my main teacher in LA. Side to side. And then you're going to come back to center, and let's go up and down your foot. Feel the heat. This is called flossing the foot. And then bring yourself to a static hold. Let's slide our hands down the strap. Wrap your hands around the strap. Bring your elbows close to your body. Shoulder blades are on the floor. If you'd like to straighten the left leg, straighten the left leg. Right away, create a space in your waist from the right lower ribs to the top of the right pelvis. Don't let this leg move up towards your shoulder. That's kind of one of the actions that happens, is that leg moves closer. And then you're going to come into a stretch. If you want to focus on bone health and pull on the pelvis, keep your knee joint straight. Try to keep the weight in the tushy. Don't let the low back press into the floor. So don't go so far back that you bring your pelvis into a tilted position, posterior tilt. Keep your pelvis neutral and draw that leg back towards the wall behind you. Do what's appropriate for you. And then take one more breath. Now we're going to do the iliotibial band. So you're going to take the strap in your hand and slide your hand down towards your body. And then the kneecap that winks at you is now going to turn to the left as you let the right big toe move into the left. And if you have a posterior hip, so that means the incision is on the side of the body or the back of the body, not on the front of the body. Most of the ones done here in the West Coast are anterior. And then you're going to draw your leg over towards the left. Feel that ooh on the side of the body. You can make it even more intense by lengthening your right leg. So feel like you're pushing into your strap. As you have that strap in your hand, you're pushing up into it. And then remember, for those of you that want to go a little farther, you let your leg keep going. This is called Supta Pada Gustasana number 3. And you could keep that left leg straight. Of course, remember, if you have a hip replacement, keep the right upper body on the floor if you can. And then we are in a rotational aspect here, so make sure your back feels okay. Push your belly button to your spine. It's a pretty intense, deep stretch. Take one more breath. And then bend your knee to come back to center. Bring your legs up in the air. Draw your legs in towards your chest and let's go side to side. Let's put our feet on the floor. So we'll do a strength pose here. We'll do a bridge pose because I think bridge is so lovely and one of my favorite poses because it strengthens the back of our body in the right postural position we want and need in our body, which I think is so important. So the first thing is you need to take the blanket away from your head. And then you're going to lengthen your head, tuck your chin towards your chest, lengthen the back of the neck. So feel that the back of the neck is nice and long. Feel the center of the head touching the mat. Now you're not going to look side to side here. So just listen to what I say. I don't know if I said to put the block between the knees. If I didn't, grab your block, put your block between your knees. And if you need to lengthen the back of your neck, do that. Place your head on the blanket. Keep your head in this position. And then walk your feet closer to your body. Squeeze your block. Let your belly push towards your spine and then push your lower back into the floor so the top edge of your pelvis touches the floor at the back. Then you're going to squeeze the block, squeeze your tushy. Just lift your body off the floor about 2 or 3 inches. And then bring your awareness to your shoulder blades, the back of the upper back. Slide the shoulder blades closer towards each other. Arms are straight. Let's bend our elbows. So the upper arm bones are pressing into the floor. The palms are facing each other and the fingers are up towards the sky. And squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy, and tilt the pelvis so the back moves towards the floor, even though it's off the floor. And then push your feet into the floor, squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy. Lift your pelvis as high as you can comfortably. Feel the lower rib cage moving away from the floor. Feel the spine moving away from the floor. Dig your elbows and your upper arms in to help support as you lift your back ribs away from the floor, lift your spine away from the floor, and then squeeze the block, squeeze the tushy. This is going to help to realign the lumbar spine, helps with any herniation, so getting the spine in alignment to allow the fluids in the discs to come back to center. Squeeze the tushy, squeeze the block. Push the feet into the floor. Lift the pelvis. The weight comes to the upper back, not to the head and the neck. Squeeze. Push away from the floor. Bring your awareness to your back body as you push away, squeezing the block, squeezing the tushy. Feel all that strength in the back of the body. Feel how strong you are. Take one more breath. And then bring your awareness to your heart, right behind your heart, where the back is off the floor. And start to push one vertebra at a time. So starting at your heart and then the next vertebra, the next. When you go slow. So when you get to the lower ribs, come onto your tippy toes. Let your heels be off the floor. And then feel your body placing the low back onto the floor. And then feel the top edge of your pelvis. Feel your sacrum. Feel relaxation come into the body. Reach down, take the block. Pause here for a second. Let the muscular contraction go. Let the work go. And push your feet into the floor. Lift, let your low back move towards the floor. So it's a posterior pelvic tilt. As you lift your pelvis up, you can come on your tippy toes. And then try to place the very top edge of the back of the pelvis onto the block. And then your feet are on the floor. You're still in a tilt. And then allow the sacrum. I believe the sacrum is it 5 bones that fuse together when we were developing? I'm not sure if it's 4 or 5 bones. And then allow the sacrum, the big triangular shaped bone, to rest on whatever you're on, all the way down to where the tailbone is. And then bring your hands onto your hip bones and gently press down. This is that SI joint I was talking about. And for anyone with pelvic malalignment, this stretches some of the deep ligaments that hold that pelvis in whatever position it's held in. So I don't know how many bones there are that are fused together, but I did learn something in my training. Try not to look side to side when you're here. I did learn something in my training, is that the cervical spine is in the neck. That's 7 bones. And they say that C is what they call the cervical spine. C, 3, 4, and 5 keep us alive. Because cervical 3, cervical 4, and cervical 5 are where the nerves branch off that go to the heart. And that's what keeps us alive. And then down in the sacrum area, they call it the sacrum S. So S, 2, 3, and 4 keeps the poop off the floor. And you might be laughing now, but that's what actually supplies the anal sphincter muscle, so that you don't poop on the floor, so you have control over your bowels. So I know there's at least 4. Feel the weight of the pelvis here, stretching some of those deep ligaments in the pelvis. If you'd like to straighten a leg or 2, if that feels good for you, if you'd like to bring your arms overhead, taking your body beyond its range of motion in an extension position in the hips and the pelvis. Take one more breath. And then let's go slow as you bend your knees. Let's push our feet into the floor and move your block off to the side. Knees are into the chest. And let's roll up onto our side. And then you're going to use your hand on the floor. Don't lift your head. Let it be that you push away and you let your shoulder do the work. Okay. So we did not stretch our inner thighs because I wanted to come into a seated position to do this. And I know this is a challenge for many of you. Having an elevation of a blanket, a folded blanket, may make it a little more tolerable.
You're going to take your legs really wide, really wide. And if you need to reach down and grab the flesh of the buttocks so you expose the sits bones, keep your legs really wide. That's so funny. I told you guys that they're calling a lot of weird, be careful because there's a lot of stuff going on. So I took my phone out of this room so it wouldn't ring when I was teaching. But I guess the bass still rings. So anyway, that becomes distractions of life to me. That's just a thing for me to not pay attention to. All right. So legs are spread here, and you may already be experiencing some sensations. If you're able to your spine in a neutral spine, notice that my back is not bending. When I come forward, and you don't have to, and a lot of you probably won't, I'm bending my hip joint to come forward. Okay? Do not make this be about the head or rounding the spine or taking the hands forward. We're not rounding the spine. You need to have a flat back here so that you safe in your spine, and especially if you have osteoporosis. You don't want to put any extra anterior pressure on the front of that spine. So for a lot of you, there's a pretty strong sensation here. And this is going to be good for knee joint health. I said today was joint focused. The adductors attach on the inner knee joint. So this is to create space for your knee joint. I know in this class, a lot of you have knee issues. And then if you'd like to go a little bit side to side, see how that feels. Bringing into this now some of those upper side muscles. And then bring yourself back up to center. All right. We are going to do our plank pose. So as nice and mellow as today's class may have seemed so far, with the exception so far of that bridge pose, we're going to fire up the front of the body. And this strengthens the joints, lots of the joints. So the spine, so many things. So this is a power pose that we're going to do. So the options for this would be the plank or the modified plank. I know some of you here are nursing your wrists. So you guys would come into either the dolphin or the modification of dolphin. We're going to be here. I'm going to time us for a minute. Of course, you come down whenever you need. So let's bring our hands or our forearms to the ground. Pointer fingers are forward. Let's take one foot back if you're coming into full plank, and then the other foot back if you're in full plank. If you're not in full plank, let your knees be on the floor. And then have your feet be about hip distance or a little bit wider. Take your fingertips and press your fingertips like crazy into the mat or wherever you are. Press the pinkies, the pointer fingers, the middle, the ring finger, and the thumbs like crazy. And then push your feet back. So make sure your weight is in your feet. Push out your right heel straight back, your left heel straight back, and then press your feet into the floor strongly and feel like you are drawing your feet up towards your hands. So turn on those deep hip flexors, that psoas that we've stretched a few times today. Lengthen out your tailbone, lengthen out your sacrum, lengthen out the low back, the mid back, the upper back, lengthen out the crown of the head. Tip of your nose is pointing down towards the ground. Feel the strength as you push away from the floor. And then bend your knees. Let's come down. So the plank pose is fantastic to get a lot of work in a short period of time. Let's take your ankles, your wrists, move your wrists as if you were in camp to a lake and you wanted to bend down and touch the water and submerge your hands in the water so that as you move back and forth in the water, there's actually a resistance. So crossing the hands in front of you when you do this, but you really imagine that you're in this water. So there is a resistance that comes there in your hands. And then let's take our hands down alongside our body. Palms are forward. Inhale to reach up, lengthen your torso here, lengthen your neck, and then exhale, chin to chest. Palms are up and chin to chest. Moving the elbows, the shoulders, shoulder blades along the back, the spine, the neck spine is moving here as you open the throat and let the throat come towards the chest. Really fluid, moving your body here, and then bring yourself up. So we're a little bit wider then hip distance. And we're gonna do a little bit of a rotation, but rotation in a nice fluid way. You're letting your body go. We're locking our hips in here, so there isn't a whole heck of a lot of movement that should come into the body. Let your arms go. This will help to add just a little bit more. If you'd like to bring your elbows up, it's a little deeper rotation. Make sure it feels appropriate. It's the lower ribs moving side to side. This is waist, the obliques. And then bring yourself back to center. For those of you that can, and I know there's a lot of issues with many of you here, let's come down onto our feet, soles of the feet. So this is really stretching the knees. And then let's come up, bend your toes under, sit on your heels, come up, flatten your feet, sit down. So for those of you that have the knee flexion issues, put whatever flexion comes into your body. Try to do the foot position, but don't do the knee. Oh my goodness. All right. And then as luck would have it, time has run out for me to do any more of that. So that's a little bit more intensity at the end there. Okay. We're going to come into our Shavasana position. If you use a bolster under your knees, grab that. Get your blanket ready. Bring yourself into all the way down. If you have osteoporosis, you're going to reach your hand to the floor to come down so that you keep your back nice and safe. Bring yourself all the way down onto the floor. This is the time. You can bring your knees into your chest if you'd like to do one last flexion movement. So this is the time in the practice where you let the dust settle. Whatever dust was kicked up today in the practice in your body, whatever was released, whatever was triggered, stimulated. This is called corpse pose, and it's actually practicing death so that we're not so scared of it. So let your body relax, bringing awareness to your breath. And just let go, let go, let go.
Udare apare. Hariyam kariyam. Dinnameya kame. Govinde mukande. Udare apare. Hariyam kariyam. Dinnameya kame. Govinde mukande. Udare apare. Hariyam kariyam. Diname kame. Govinde mukande. Udare apare. Hariyam kariyam. Diname kame.
Gently begin to deepen the breath. Start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Roll your ankles and roll your wrists. And then slowly bend the knees, bringing your knees into your chest. Feel the low back press into the floor and rock side to side. And then rock all the way onto your right side. Then you're going to use your hand to gently push yourself to lift up. We're going to close the practice with sound, so try to stay in a nice mellow place. Bringing yourself up to a seated position. We'll use the letter M, like good. Bring your hands together, rubbing your hands together. Feel the fingertips touching the fingers, the palms rubbing together, and then let the thumbs rest at the sternum bone. Close the eyes, sit nice and tall. Take a deep breath all the way down to the lower belly. We bow to each other in Namaste. Namaste. So thank you. I hope you are feeling lubricated. It's kind of an interesting thing to think, right? I hope you're feeling nice and lubricated and uncongested. Oh yeah, autumn. Autumn yoga, and it definitely feels like autumn today, right? Lauren, you're welcome. And Debbie, no problem. You're gone probably. And then Sharon, you're welcome. Yes, good. I'm glad you feel great. You're welcome, Carolyn. Yes, nice, relaxing. I needed that too. Mahalo, Dina. Yes. Great. Love to hear it. Love that you guys feel good. That's a goal, right? Yoga is about making us feel good. Why wouldn't we want to show something and feel good? So I'm glad that that's the case. I'm off to teach another class, and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back Saturday. So have a great day. Enjoy this cool weather. Maybe make some cream of broccoli soup. Make it vegan. Use coconut milk and MCT oil, which is medium chain trans fats. No. Medium chain. I don't know. Medium chain something oil. MCT. Good for brain health. Dr. Hyman was saying this weekend.
So anyway, you're welcome, George. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.